Choosing your next game can sometimes feel like a mission in itself. You scroll through endless titles wondering if any of them are actually worth your time. I get it, nobody wants to sink hours into something that doesn't deliver. That's exactly why I made this list. These are 20 single-player games you truly need to experience at least once. Some will hit deep emotionally, others will push your skills to the limit, and a few will completely blow you away with their storytelling and design. I've played every single one, and trust me, you won't regret checking them out. So grab your favorite snacks, get comfortable, and let's dive in. Your next gaming obsession is closer than you think. Frostpunk 2. From the brilliant minds at 11-bit Studios, this sequel takes everything that made the first game unforgettable and pushes it to a whole new level. Known for its mix of city building, harsh survival, and moral decision-making, Frostpunk 2 doesn't just continue the story, it reinvents the experience. Players asked for deeper strategy, expanded mod support, and refined mechanics, and this game delivers on all fronts. The narrative is gripping and emotional, constantly forcing you to make impossible choices to keep your city alive in a frozen wasteland. Every decision feels heavy, with real consequences that shape your world and challenge your sense of leadership. That's what makes it so addictive. You'll always want to see how things could have turned out differently. With improved replayability, intricate systems, and a story that blends perfectly with gameplay, Frostpunk 2 stands as a powerful example of how sequels can evolve into something truly extraordinary. Kena, Bridge of Spirits completely surprised me when I played it on my PS5. I started it expecting a short session and ended up playing for nearly 10 hours straight without even realizing it. That's how immersive it is. The art direction is absolutely stunning. In some moments, it even rivals the beauty of Ghost of Tsushima. It feels like you've stepped into a living Pixar movie, only with deeper gameplay and atmosphere. The Rot companions instantly steal the spotlight. These tiny, adorable creatures aren't just for show. They play a key role in solving puzzles, navigating environments, and even connecting you emotionally to the world around you. They feel like real partners on your journey. Don't be fooled by the game's charming visuals, though. The combat can get intense. Boss fights demand patience, strategy, and timing, especially on normal difficulty, which keeps every battle exciting. What really stands out is how seamless the transition is between gameplay and cutscenes, especially on PS5. It keeps you locked in from start to finish. Every secret, collectible, and puzzle feels rewarding, offering meaningful upgrades or fun cosmetic rewards for your Rot friends. Kena, Bridge of Spirits nails the perfect balance between peaceful exploration and thrilling combat, making it one of the most unforgettable indie adventures in years. Prey was one of those games I didn't expect to love as much as I did. I discovered it on a random top 10 list and couldn't believe I had missed it all this time. It's the kind of game that reminds you why immersive sims like System Shock and Deus Ex became classics. Prey captures that same creative spirit, letting you approach every problem in multiple ways while keeping the tension high. There are no cheap tricks or microtransactions here, just pure, intelligent gameplay wrapped around a gripping narrative. The psychological tension builds constantly, blending sci-fi mystery with moments of genuine fear. Enemies are clever and unpredictable, forcing you to think before you act. The real magic lies in how much freedom you have. Whether you're sneaking through vents, hacking security systems, or mastering alien abilities, every choice feels meaningful. And with the Moon Crash DLC adding even more depth and replayability, Prey proves itself as a truly remarkable and overlooked masterpiece for players who appreciate smart design and creative freedom. SOMA isn't just an incredible horror game, it's one of the most emotionally and intellectually powerful experiences I've ever played. What makes it stand out is how it blends psychological storytelling with an atmosphere that gets under your skin without relying on jump scares. Set deep within an underwater research facility slowly falling apart, SOMA explores haunting questions about identity, consciousness, and what it truly means to be human. The fear here isn't about monsters in the dark, it's about the unsettling realization of what we are and what we might become. Even if you're not usually into horror, the story alone makes it worth experiencing. It's beautifully written, thought-provoking, and lingers with you long after the credits roll. The gameplay flows naturally, mixing exploration and light puzzles that keep you engaged without breaking immersion. SOMA proves that games can deliver the same emotional depth and philosophical weight as great films or novels, using player interaction to make those ideas hit even harder. It's a haunting, unforgettable journey that challenges both your mind and your emotions. Resident Evil 4 Remake is something I didn't think could exist, a reimagining of one of the most legendary games ever made that actually improves on the original. Capcom didn't just remaster the visuals, they rebuilt the entire experience from the ground up while keeping everything fans loved intact. The pacing feels tighter, each chapter flows more smoothly, and every section has been carefully refined or reworked to fit modern expectations. The combat feels sharper and more fluid than ever, with mechanics that make every encounter tense, strategic, and incredibly satisfying. What's most impressive is how Resident Evil 4 Remake respects its roots. Instead of chasing modern trends, it enhances what already worked and adds new layers that feel natural, not forced. The result is a perfect balance between nostalgia and innovation, a true masterclass in how to remake a classic the right way. Whether you're playing it for the first time or reliving it years later, Resident Evil 4 Remake sets a new benchmark for how remakes should be done. Dredge completely caught me off guard. I never thought I'd be hooked on a cosmic horror fishing game, but here we are. What starts as a peaceful and relaxing fishing adventure slowly transforms into something far more eerie and mysterious. It finds that perfect middle ground between cozy exploration, subtle storytelling, and quiet dread without ever becoming overwhelming. It's not a complex fishing simulator, but it has just enough depth to keep you engaged through its roughly 12-hour journey. There's always this lingering feeling that something dark is hiding beneath the waves, waiting for the sun to go down. Upgrading your boat is incredibly satisfying, giving you the tools and confidence to venture into deeper, more dangerous waters. The world of Dredge is packed with strange personalities, cryptic events, and moments that make you stop and think about what's really going on. It's a fascinating mix of charm and unease, a unique experience that blends the cozy and the creepy in a way no other game does. By the time you dock your final catch, the atmosphere still lingers in your mind long after you've finished playing. The Last of Us remains one of gaming's greatest achievements in storytelling, and the recent HBO adaptation only solidifies that legacy. From the very first scene, it pulls you into a post-apocalyptic world that feels heartbreakingly real. What makes it so powerful isn't just the setting, it's the emotional bond between Joel and Ellie, two characters who feel entirely human in how they grow, argue, and learn to trust each other. Every moment of gameplay supports that story, whether you're sneaking through abandoned buildings, fighting off infected, or just sharing quiet conversations between tense encounters. The writing, voice acting, and pacing all come together to create something that goes beyond typical video game storytelling. The Last of Us is more than a survival game. It's an emotional journey about love, loss, and what it means to protect someone in a broken world. And the HBO series deserves huge credit for capturing that same depth and emotion on screen with incredible respect for the original. Together, they stand as proof that games can tell stories just as powerful as any film or show. Metro Exodus takes a bold leap for the series, shifting from the classic tight corridors to a broader, semi-open world, and it works beautifully. I'll admit, I was unsure at first if the new direction would take away from that signature tension, but it actually deepens it. The story stays strong throughout, packed with memorable characters and moments that keep you emotionally connected. Traveling across post-apocalyptic Russia on the Aurora train feels like a personal journey filled with hope, heartbreak, and discovery. One of the coolest details is how the train itself changes as the story progresses, visually showing how far you've come. Each region brings its own flavor, from dangerous wilderness areas to zones full of haunting human stories. Whether you're sneaking through ruins or scavenging for supplies, every moment feels purposeful and rewarding. Some dramatic interactions, like the emotional exchanges between Alyosha and Olga, might feel a bit theatrical, but they give the cast personality and warmth. By blending open-world freedom with tight, story-driven moments, Metro Exodus finds the perfect balance, expanding the series without losing its soul. It's a gripping, atmospheric experience that perfectly captures both survival and human connection in a broken world. The Witcher 3. Wild Hunt isn't just a game, it's a milestone for what open-world RPGs can achieve. From the moment I opened the physical copy and saw the thank you note and free DLC, I knew CD Projekt Red truly cared about their players. That respect only grew when they released the next-gen update completely free, showing their genuine passion for quality and community. The storytelling is phenomenal, and while the main quest is gripping, it's the side stories, especially the Bloody Baron quest, that stand out as emotional masterpieces. That single storyline alone rivals most full-length games with its depth and moral complexity. Every choice you make matters, shaping the world around you in meaningful, sometimes heartbreaking ways. From the crowded streets of Novigrad to the snowy landscapes of Skellige, the world feels alive and handcrafted with incredible detail. The soundtrack enhances every scene, perfectly matching the tone of each region and battle. The Witcher 3 remains a gold standard in gaming, a rare blend of world-building, storytelling, and design that still defines what an RPG should be.
When nearby villages or guards want to dispose of dead bodies, they usually dump them in the swamp.
Far, Changing Tides is one of those hidden gems you don't expect to find but end up completely falling in love with. I first tried it on Game Pass, drawn in by its beautiful art style, and within minutes I was hooked. The game offers a calm, meditative experience that feels like a breath of fresh air compared to fast-paced action titles. You pilot a unique vessel that shifts between a sailing ship and a submarine, exploring a drowned world full of quiet mystery and environmental puzzles. There's no combat or failure, just smooth, intuitive controls that make every small success feel meaningful. The sense of progress comes from understanding your ship, mastering its systems, and soaking in the peaceful rhythm of the journey. What truly sets Changing Tides apart is its atmosphere. The world tells its story without a single line of dialogue, using its hauntingly beautiful environments and reactive soundtrack to guide your emotions. Every moment feels personal and reflective. It's a serene, visually stunning adventure that leaves a lasting emotional mark long after you've completed it. Days Gone turned out to be a much better experience than I expected. After years of fast-paced multiplayer games, I wanted something slower, story-driven, and emotional, and this delivered exactly that. The story may not reinvent the genre, but it's surprisingly heartfelt, especially in how it explores the relationship between Deacon St. John and his wife Sarah. Their connection adds a genuine emotional layer to the usual post-apocalyptic chaos. The highlight, though, is the game's incredible horde system. Taking on massive waves of freakers is both terrifying and exhilarating, forcing you to think strategically about every move. From setting traps to managing your weapons and fuel, every encounter feels intense and rewarding. What impressed me most is how Days Gone combines quiet, emotional storytelling with raw, heart-pounding action. It's one of those underrated PlayStation gems that gives you exactly what you need, an immersive cinematic break from the competitive grind.
There we go.
The Life and Suffering of Sir Brante is an absolute must-play if you enjoy choose-your-own-adventure stories or RPGs built around branching narratives. It perfectly blends both styles, creating a story that feels intimate, mature, and surprisingly deep. As someone who grew up reading fantasy novels and interactive stories, this game hit all the right notes for me. It feels more like reading a beautifully written book that responds to your choices in meaningful ways. The writing is phenomenal, rich with emotion and moral complexity, and every decision you make genuinely affects how your character evolves and how the world reacts around you. What makes it so special is the way your choices carry real weight. They stay with you and shape the story in unpredictable directions. While it's not about fast-paced action, for players who love thought-provoking, story-driven experiences, The Life and Suffering of Sir Brante is one of the most rewarding narrative games you can play. Visage is easily one of the most disturbing and atmospheric horror games I've ever experienced, and that's saying something. It's not a game for everyone, though. It demands patience and persistence. The puzzles can be brutally challenging, and the controls take some getting used to, but if you stick with it, you'll uncover a horror experience that truly gets under your skin. Set inside a painfully realistic, abandoned suburban house, Visage builds tension through its environment rather than cheap scares. Every corner, every creaking floorboard, and every flickering light adds to the dread. The small details, from scattered belongings to unfinished meals, make the place feel hauntingly real, as if something terrible happened just before you arrived. The story unfolds across 3 main chapters, each offering its own terrifying moments, and while the final one isn't as intense as the earlier sections, it ties everything together with eerie satisfaction. Visage isn't perfect, but its atmosphere and psychological depth make it unforgettable. It's the kind of horror game that lingers in your mind long after you've turned it off. Just don't be afraid to look up a guide when the puzzles start testing your sanity. Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't just a game, it's a cinematic masterpiece that redefines open-world storytelling. You play as Arthur Morgan, a weary outlaw trying to survive in the dying days of the Wild West as his gang slowly crumbles. His journey is layered with moral choices, loyalty, and the painful search for redemption. What sets this game apart is its astonishing realism and attention to detail. The world feels alive, animals act naturally, townsfolk have daily routines, and your decisions actually shape how people react to you. Every small moment, whether you're taming a wild horse or helping a stranger on the road, feels meaningful. The pacing is slow and deliberate, but that's what makes it immersive. It gives you time to connect with the world and truly feel Arthur's story unfold. By the end, it's not just a game you finish, it's a story that stays with you. Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of those rare experiences that reminds you why you love gaming in the first place. Uncharted 4. A Thief's End easily stands as the peak of the entire series. Maybe I'm a little biased since it was the first one I played, but it truly delivers on every level. The visuals are stunning, the gameplay is sharp and satisfying, and the story strikes an emotional chord that feels more mature and grounded than ever. After playing the earlier titles, it's clear Uncharted 4 raised the bar with its expanded environments, deeper exploration, and richer storytelling. Every hidden note and collectible adds texture to the world without slowing the pace. The grappling hook is a fantastic addition, making traversal smoother and more cinematic, while the improved stealth system, with smarter AI and tagging mechanics, gives you more ways to play your way. The combat feels tighter, and every encounter feels like a handcrafted moment of excitement. With its perfect balance of adventure, storytelling, and polish, Uncharted 4 is one of the most complete and emotionally satisfying action-adventure games ever made. Beyond, Two Souls was one of those games I stumbled upon years ago through a demo on a friend's PS3, but it wasn't until 2021 during the pandemic that I finally experienced the full story. Playing it on PS4 felt like rediscovering a hidden treasure. The visuals still hold up impressively well for a game that first launched in 2013. What really hooked me was the emotional storytelling and the freedom to shape the narrative through your choices. At its core, the bond between Jodie and Aiden, the mysterious entity connected to her, gives the game its heart. Their relationship feels genuine and layered, creating moments that are both haunting and heartfelt. Every decision you make, no matter how small, has weight, steering the story toward one of several unique endings. Beyond, Two Souls doesn't just tell a story, it invites you to live one. It's a moving, thought-provoking journey that explores identity, loss, and connection, making it a must-play for anyone who values emotional, narrative-driven games. When God of War shifted to Norse mythology, I wasn't sure what to expect. I worried it might lose the raw power and tone that made the originals iconic. But instead, it completely redefined what the series could be. The Norse world feels alive, mysterious, and full of stories waiting to be uncovered. Every god, creature, and realm adds to the game's mythic depth. What truly sets it apart, though, is the emotional bond between Kratos and Atreus. Their father-son journey is filled with tension, growth, and moments that hit harder than any boss fight. Watching them learn from each other gave the story a human touch that elevated everything around it. The combat remains intense and satisfying, with smooth mechanics and powerful weapon upgrades that make every encounter feel meaningful. What impressed me most is how the gameplay and story evolve together. Just as Atreus matures, so do the challenges and themes. God of War isn't just an action game, it's an emotional odyssey about legacy, responsibility, and redemption. It's a modern masterpiece that stands among the greatest games ever made. Shadow of the Colossus isn't just a game, it's a poetic, emotional experience that proves how powerful minimalism can be in storytelling. Stripped of the usual open-world distractions, it focuses entirely on you, your horse, and 16 massive colossi that feel more like ancient guardians than enemies. Each battle carries an emotional weight that's hard to describe. You're driven by purpose, but every victory feels bittersweet, as if you've taken something sacred from the world. There's no long dialogue or exposition holding your hand. The silence lets your imagination fill in the blanks, turning the story into something deeply personal. Even years later, the haunting emptiness of its landscapes, the melancholic music, and the sense of solitude stay burned in my memory. Shadow of the Colossus shows that games don't need words to tell powerful stories. It's a timeless, introspective journey that leaves you with feelings no cutscene ever could. Resident Evil 7 completely reinvented the franchise while returning it to its horror roots in the best way possible. From the moment you step inside the Baker family's decaying mansion, the switch to first person pulls you straight into the nightmare. Every creak, flicker, and whisper feels uncomfortably close, making the tension almost unbearable. The attention to detail is incredible. Every broken door, moldy hallway, and unsettling sound tells a story of its own. What impressed me most was how the game balances puzzles, exploration, and pure terror without leaning on cheap jump scares. It's psychological horror at its finest. The encounters with the Bakers are unforgettable, and the pacing keeps you constantly on edge, never knowing what's around the corner. Resident Evil 7 manages to be both a terrifying reboot and a perfect homage to the series' origins. It's immersive, nerve-wracking, and easily one of the best survival horror experiences ever made. Elden Ring is nothing short of a masterpiece. While most open-world games flood your screen with markers and objectives, this one dares to trust you. It drops you into the lands between with almost no guidance, and that freedom is exactly what makes it so magical. Every step feels like genuine exploration, no hand-holding, no forced direction, just discovery waiting around every corner. The combat is brutal but deeply satisfying. The world is hauntingly beautiful, and the lore runs deeper than most games ever attempt. You can follow the main path, get lost for hours in hidden ruins, or piece together ancient stories buried in item descriptions. It all feels equally rewarding. I've had countless sessions where I meant to play for a few minutes and ended up completely losing track of time. Elden Ring doesn't just redefine open-world gaming, it perfects it, creating an adventure that feels both timeless and personal. Every fight, every find, every quiet moment under a golden sky feels earned. And that's a wrap. If you're anything like me, you've probably already decided which game you're playing next, or maybe you're planning to play all 20. Either way, you can't go wrong. These aren't just games. They're full experiences, packed with emotion, mystery, and moments that stick with you long after the credits roll. Think I missed a hidden gem that deserves a spot on this list? Drop your pick in the comments. I'm always hunting for the next great story to get lost in. Before you dive into your next adventure, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a new list, recommendation, or deep dive.